Hello, this is the last video in the bond portfolio spreadsheet instructions, and it covers rebalancing. So as we saw here with our duration plot, there is a target duration, which is the red line, and the actual duration of the portfolio without rebalancing, which represents the blue line. And as this divergence occurs, your bond portfolio becomes more and more sensitive to changes in interest rates, which is exactly what we don't want to have happen. We want to, again, guarantee that we have the money exactly at the right time. This is depending on your point of view, if you're the bond portfolio manager, this is a great thing because the people that bought the portfolio from you have to come back periodically and pay you money to rebalance the portfolio. There's different ways that this works, but in general, what we want to actually do is minimize the number of transactions so that we move from a portfolio position that has an incorrect duration back to the portfolio position that has the correct duration. So what I've done is create a copy of my original portfolio formation. It's called Rebal. This represents the base number of bonds that I started with, and this represents the number of trades that have to occur in order to rebalance the portfolio. And what we want to do actually is minimize the number of trades. This cost column, it really isn't applicable. You have to convert the cost to 1 year into the future, so don't worry too much about this. I'm leaving it in here just as a reference. But and then our contributions becomes the count, which is the new number of bonds that are being moved, multiplied by the final contribution. And then the duration contribution here, again, is count multiplied by the contribution multiplied by the duration. Now notice it's the duration at 7.5 years, not the duration that we had at the start of the portfolio, divided by the total, and then you'll drag each one of these guys down. These bond durations here at 7.5 years for the IBM, Home Depot, Procter & Gamble, DD, and MA bond are just coming from this row at 7.5 years. And then as you rebalance your portfolio for each year moving forward from 9.5 to 8.5, 7.5, you'll just use each one of these rows progressively down to 1.5 years. Inside of 1.5 years, there's not a lot of rebalancing done. You have a very low sensitivity to interest rates to begin with, and a lot of times people will start converting their portfolios to from long duration bonds to short duration bonds. So by the time we're down here, for example, half a year away, this bond that's 5.62 years in duration, or the 4.31, we'll get rid of them and we'll pick up 6-month T-bills or something with a lower interest rate sensitivity to them. And that transition happens over here. All right, so in terms of the rebalancing plot, I'm just going to go over here to data and my solver, and we're going to go over our solver setup. So what we're trying to do here is minimize the number of trades that are occurring. And the number of trades is simply going to be the absolute value, that's what ABS is, between the base number and the new number that is there. And by minimizing the number of trades, we're minimizing our transaction costs. So in this case, it's going to take 89 trades in order to rebalance the portfolio. You'll notice that we're moving from higher duration bonds. This one is 8.89, and moving in towards lower duration bonds. This one is 7.13. And as time goes forward, that's exactly what happens. You move from the long duration bonds closer and closer to the short duration bonds. And ultimately, you wouldn't stick with your original bond portfolio like we're doing for this project, you'd move over to lower duration bonds, like T-bills, for example. All right, so again, that's the ABS. We would go back to the solver. We want to minimize the number of trades that are occurring. We have all of our other constraints still being applied. Our future value still has to be between 495 and 405 and 395. Just to show that something is going to go on, we've got to change our duration target, right? And originally for me it was 8.5, now it's basically 7.5. Everything else pretty much remains the same. We've moved it over to the I column from the H column. But other than that, there's really no significant changes. Do remember to change your target duration. So if I just I'm not sure, the objective cell is still this one right here. So I'm just going to change this to real quick 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1. So that would be 266 J's. I'm not meeting any of my requirements. Bring my solver back up. The objective function is still J3. By changing these guys, we're just going to go hit the solve button. And okay, so here we are at 74. We haven't had to do any trading here. We have had to sell a bunch of bonds here, going from 53 to 15, and we've used those funds then to go from 28 to 78, from 16 to 15, and we stayed here at 100. So overall it took us 89 trades, and our target duration is now set, and we're still hitting our contribution aspect quite well. Alright, so that's the process. You'll have to do it obviously once or every year. I'll let you guys figure out the most efficient way to do that. Anyway, I'll let you guys figure out the most efficient way to do that. And that's the last mechanical Excel step in the project, and we're good to go. Thanks. Bye.